Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the most significant and frankly most debated statements in all of Scripture. It's a declaration that really sits at the heart of the Christian faith, a huge pivot point between the old and the new. So, let's get right into it.
Right here in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17, Jesus makes this incredible claim. He says he didn't come to get rid of the sacred scriptures of Israel. Not at all. He came to do something completely different, to fulfill them.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? What does it actually mean to fulfill the law? Is he just saying he's going to follow all the rules perfectly? Or is he adding new, even stricter rules? Or, and this is what we're going to explore, does he mean something so much deeper, something that literally changes everything? Okay, so to solve this puzzle, we first have to understand the language Jesus was using. What did his original audience hear when he said these words? We've got to step back into their world for a minute. You see, when a first-century Jew heard the phrase, the law and the prophets, they weren't just thinking of the Ten Commandments. For them, that phrase meant their entire story. The Torah, the prophets, the writings, the whole shebang. It was the grand narrative of God's relationship with his people, Israel.
And this law was, incredibly complex. It did so many things. It showed them God's moral character. It gave structure to their worship with all the sacrifices and the priesthood. It governed them as a nation, and it defined the very terms of their relationship with God. It was the very fabric of their lives.
All right, now the real key to unlocking what Jesus is saying here, it all comes down to a single Greek word. And understanding its meaning, well, that's everything. That word is plēroō. This is the original Greek verb Matthew used when he wrote down Jesus' words. And like a lot of these rich ancient words, it doesn't have just one simple meaning. It's got layers. So plēroō can mean to fill something up, like a cup of water. It can also mean to bring a prophecy to its completion, and Matthew actually uses it that way a lot. But the most profound meaning, especially for us right now, is this: to bring something to its final intended purpose, its ultimate goal.
So get this. This is the crucial point. Jesus isn't just saying he's here to check off a list of rules. No way. He's declaring that he is the goal, that the entire story, every law, every prophecy was all pointing forward to a destination. And now, he has arrived.
To really get our heads around this, let's use a metaphor. It's simple, but it's really powerful. Think of the entire Old Testament as a journey with a very specific map.
In this journey, the law, with all its ceremonies and rules, it acted like a series of signposts. It pointed the way forward. It gave direction. It built up this incredible anticipation for what was just down the road. It was constantly telling Israel, the destination is this way. So Jesus didn't come to tear down the signpost. Why would you do that? He came as the very destination the signpost had been pointing to all along. And once you finally arrived, the signpost has done its job perfectly. It has been fulfilled. So how exactly did he do this? How did he fulfill it? Let's dig in and see how Jesus is the substance to which all the shadows of the law pointed. The book of Hebrews explains this so beautifully. Think about it. The law had priests, but they were temporary and they were imperfect. Jesus is the eternal, perfect high priest. The law required endless animal sacrifices that could never really truly take away sin. Jesus became the one, perfect, once-for-all sacrifice. The law was the foundation of a covenant that was fading, but Jesus brings in a new and a better one.
The Apostle Paul, in Galatians chapter 3, verse 24, uses another great image. He calls the law a guardian, or maybe a tutor, something that has a temporary job. Its role was to protect and prepare. Its whole job was to lead us to Christ. And once Christ showed up, that guardian's main role was complete.
So you see, the law wasn't just some dusty rulebook. It was like a portrait of Christ painted in symbols and shadows. Every major part of it pointed right to him. He is the true temple, where God dwells with us. He's the true Passover lamb who delivers us from death. He's the true priest, the ultimate sacrifice, and the long-awaited king. He fulfills it by replacing all those symbols with himself, the reality.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. What does fulfillment truly mean? And just as importantly, what does it not mean?
A really common mistake is to think that fulfillment just meant Jesus raised the bar, making the law even harder to follow. But that's a total misunderstanding. Fulfillment is all about completion. It's about bringing the entire project of the law to its glorious intended conclusion. The law, in all its moral perfection, it stood as a constant demand. It laid out the standard of perfect righteousness that God requires, and it's a standard that nobody, not one person, could ever meet.
And in his perfect, sinless life, Jesus supplied that very righteousness. He lived the life that you and I could never live, fulfilling every single demand of the law on our behalf.
The law also made it crystal clear that sin demands a payment. It required the shedding of blood, a sacrifice to atone for all the wrongdoing.
And on the cross, Jesus became that perfect sacrifice, paying the debt that we could never, ever pay. He is both the fulfillment of the law's demand and its provision for our failure. He's both.
And this, right here, is the ultimate contrast. The whole principle of the Old Covenant law was basically, do this, and you will live. It was a covenant based on works. But from the cross, Jesus declared a whole new reality. He cried out, "It is finished. The work is done. The law is fulfilled."
So what does all this mean for us today? Well, it means everything. It means our hope and our standing before God do not depend on our ability to perfectly keep a code, because we can't. It depends entirely on the one who fulfilled it for us. Because Jesus is the end, the goal, and the perfect fulfillment of the law, our relationship with God is based not on what we do, but on what Christ has victoriously and perfectly done. And that, right there, is the heart of the gospel.